My fellow nerds, comic book enthusiasts, and culture fanatics, assemble for a tribute to our favorite fictional heroes.
Deemed by many as modern mythology, superheroes came into our lives at a young age, and stick with many of us for the rest of our lives. Especially now, it seems that superheroes are in, mainly through our culture's exposure through film. This list will count down my favorite superheroes based on appearances in various forms of media, but primarily comic books. Comic books and graphic novels in particular, because they are the medium for superheroes. It's a list of only 10, and given that I am quite the geek, I found it rather difficult to narrow it down. So I apologize in advance if some of your favorites are left off of here. These are just my personal favorites. At number 10, Scott Summers, or Cyclops, from the X-Men. Many probably know Cyclops from his portrayal in the X-Men film series. Though a great series overall, try to forget the Cyclops you know from the films. His character was underdeveloped and generally unlikable. The real Cyclops, though, is an admirable leader, and the first X-Man. He's a tragic and brooding figure who's forced to have his eyes shielded at all times due to uncontrollable optic blasts. He's courageous and strong in his own right, holding his own against the odds, risking his life whenever necessary in high hopes for bettering human-mutant relationships. At number 9, Tony Stark, Iron Man. This character has become very popular in recent years, primarily due to Robert Downey Jr.'s flawless portrayal on film. Like Batman, Iron Man has no powers, and instead uses his wealth and intelligence to aid him in carrying out his heroic deeds. He's a charming character, yet a harrowing character. He must wear a specific device at all times to ensure some shrapnel will not harm his heart. He's battled the baddest of the bad, but that's not limited to supervillains, because Tony Stark has even battled alcoholism. Number 8 is going to be Ben Grimm, or The Thing. A member of the Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm is the only team member whose appearance changed with his superpowers.
Hey, what's going on?
Ben is seen as a hideous monster, even though he's actually a selfless and surprisingly gentle person. Each Fantastic Four member is great in their own right, but The Thing would have to be my favorite. I find him to be the most compelling Fantastic Four member in any of their adaptations. At number 8, I chose Ororo Munro, better known as Storm. One of the new X-Men to come in 1975, Storm is essentially a goddess. With an interesting design, as well as control over the weather, Storm really stands out among the rest. A common theme in comic books is for our hero to experience the death of loved ones before they truly discover their calling, and Storm is no exception. Orphaned by war, Storm would soon be deemed a goddess in Kenya, where she would later be approached by Professor X and recruited into the X-Men. Ever since, she has devoted her skills as well as her life to equality among humans and mutants.
Summon the full power of the storm!
At number 6, we have Peter Rasputin, or Colossus. Colossus is a character who I feel deserves more credit in the world of superheroes. He may stand out on this list primarily because he is lesser known than the rest. What I find most interesting about this character is that his power makes him one of the biggest and the strongest in the business, yet he's incredibly friendly and peaceful. He's a lover, not a fighter, yet his ability would imply otherwise. A keen artist, and an even keener friend, Colossus earns a well-deserved spot as one of my favorites. Number 5, Matt Murdock, Daredevil. Stan Lee is one of my favorite writers, as well as one of my favorite personalities. That being said, the person who really developed Daredevil into one of the greats was artist and writer Frank Miller, who worked with Daredevil in the late 70s and 80s. Another rather tragic figure, Daredevil is blind. You'd wonder how a blind superhero would even work, but that's where his powers come into play. Matt's hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching abilities are better than anyone else's. This enables him to perform crazy feats that even a person with sight couldn't. He's an excellent fighter and acrobat, and like the rest on this list, a selfless hero. Number 4 is James Howitt, or Logan, Wolverine. Another very popular character of late, due to Hugh Jackman's iconic portrayal, Wolverine is one of a kind. Unlike Jackman, Wolverine is short and less physically attractive. Haunted by a past that he cannot fully recall, Wolverine is a mysterious loner.
I know how you feel about it, Wolverine, but...
His not-so-nurturing attitude might make you wonder why someone like Wolverine stays with the X-Men. But the truth is, he deeply cares for his team, as well as the cause they stand for.
This one's for you, Marv!
We're down to the top 3. And at number 3, I put Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk. Probably the first superhero that I was exposed to as a youth, the Hulk is one of the most endearing of them all. Arguably the strongest of any hero, the Hulk is typically an uncontrollable monster. What I find most interesting is how the Hulk and his alter ego, Bruce Banner, serve as foil characters for each other. This may seem like the case for many heroes, but what makes Bruce different is that he truly can't help the way he is. Bruce Banner is one of the most intelligent and considerate in the Marvel Universe, while the Hulk is one of the least intelligent, and is very, very mean. The Hulk lives as a hero in a different sense. He's hated and feared by many, but he's a hero nevertheless, because though a monstrous brute, the Hulk never hesitates to save the day. Number 2, Bruce Wayne, The Dark Knight, Batman. Die-hard DC fans may be disappointed by the lack of their favorite heroes on this list. And although I can't deny that I'm a straight-up Marvel fanboy, Batman still lies among my all-time favorites. Well, what can I say that already hasn't been said? One of the earliest examples of a superhero, Batman serves as some nice groundwork for what exactly a superhero is. It may be true that his superpower is essentially his wealth, but it also took much cunning as well as a very strong will to perform like Batman does. He's probably the superhero with the most adaptations, and he also has one of the finest as well as most popular rosters of characters in any superhero universe. Before I get to number 1, I would like to state that there are so many different superheroes that it's really hard to get to the core of who is best. But this is something that I have thought about for a long time, and at this point in time, it's truly a no-brainer. Number 1 is the Dog Welder. I'm just kidding. It's Spider-Man. Another one of the most popular, Spider-Man serves as the everyman superhero. People who don't even dig the superhero scene all that much can still admit that Spider-Man is one of the most appealing. He's very relatable, due to his being extremely flawed, yet incredibly spirited and strong. Again, a common theme with superheroes is that they lose a loved one, and in Spider-Man's case, it can be said that he helped contribute to his Uncle Ben's murder. That's a lot to live with. And on top of that, he's young, poor, misunderstood, and a loner by nature. He's just a kid, dealing with the problems that a kid would need to deal with, next to being a gallant superhero in one of the biggest cities in the world. He's experienced the tragic deaths of both his uncle and the woman that he loves. He's had to deal with relationships that are being damaged and ruined, and he's had to go up against opponents that are overall more powerful than he is. And it's all in the name of his responsibility as a hero. And through it all, he still manages to come out on top. He's inspiring and captivating, just like a hero should be. And that is why he is my favorite. Now, some of you may be wondering, where is Superman? And this is where I must admit that I am not the biggest fan of Superman. Though I couldn't say that he's among my favorites, I cannot and will not deny the importance of his character. He really is the first superhero, and therefore is the classic example of one. He is your typical, I'll save you, superhero. He's a very vital part of our culture, but my issues lie in deeper roots. You see, I never really found him to be all that relatable. And though I love his backstory, I find him to be too much less than human. And he is. He's an alien from Krypton. But his near-flawless nature causes his character to captivate me less. I mean, he has almost every power there is, including super strength, flight, super speed, he's near invincible, he has laser vision, and so on and so forth. In short, I'd say that Superman is too good, too powerful, and therefore not so enchanting. With a character like Spider-Man, you don't know that he'll succeed. But because of the determination in his heart, even against the greatest odds, you want to root for him. For Spider-Man, stopping the train in Spider-Man 2 took every last ounce of his strength. He truly put his life on the line. If Superman were put in the same situation, he would have stopped the train, no problem. There's less of a question as to whether or not he will succeed. He has few weaknesses, and can pretty much be wherever he needs to be to stop whatever evildoer needs to be stopped. Which then begs the question, what's the point of having a character like Batman in the DC universe when Superman can just zip over to Gotham in a millisecond and reprimand the Joker? But I digress. It's been said that Superman's biggest fault is that he can't save everyone. Well, that's a pretty common fault in the world of superheroes, I'd say. But in Superman's case, I would disagree, because he can turn back time. But anyway, I hope this served as good rationale, and I also hope that you enjoyed the list. And if you did, and you haven't subscribed already, then what are you waiting for? I'll see you next time.